What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got kind of a special video. I say that at the beginning of every single video that I do, that I have a special video. Anyways, actually have a special video today. My wife and I were sitting on the couch, and I had some leftover funds from things that we sold, things that David had purchased and didn't want to keep, and I was kind of unsure as to where I wanted to go with it. And I had this idea. I said to my wife, "Hey, do you want to pick something? Like, do you want to just kind of look for something that appeals to you and then buy it? And then you can tell me what it is afterwards. And then we can do a video and talk about kind of why you chose that." And she said, "Oh, okay." And for those of you who don't know, my wife gets me a knife every year for our anniversary. The deal is that she gets to do the research, look it up. I have no say whatsoever. I don't get to know what it is. The first year she chose the Lion Steel TRE Titanium, which is amazing. The second year she chose the Microtech SOCOM Elite, the new 2018 model. So in my book, she was 2 for 2. And so I was curious. I was like, if I just, tell her, I'm like, okay, you got $100 limit. What would she pick? I was just curious. So she's with me here today, and we're going to talk about what she chose. But in this pouch here is what she picked, and a lot of you probably are going to recognize this immediately. Excuse the lighting; we're in our basement tonight. But what she chose was the Buck 110. And, after she told me, or she showed me, what she had picked, which, by the way, she told me, after she had ordered it, so it was already a done deal. That way, the idea is that my reaction would not sway her decision to buy it. She just went ahead and bought it, and then she showed me what it was. I realized that she had actually chosen the DLT exclusive micarta and S35VN model. So not only is this knife made in the USA and an iconic folding knife, you can just barely see there, S35VN. I don't know if you guys can make that out on camera. Probably not. The lighting down here isn't all that great. But now I'm sorry. Not only did she choose an iconic American folding knife that I'm really happy to have on my channel, but she chose one that has I think these are nickel bolsters. I think the scales are micarta, and like I said, S35VN. So I think what did this run?
95, I think.
$95. So for $95, this is awesome. And I'm sure there are a lot of people watching who are huge fans of the Buck 110. I mean, this thing has a legacy. This thing it's a legendary folding knife, and truthfully, this is the very first time I have ever handled this knife. But it's not only is it iconic, but it's like one of the most classic lockback knives that exists. And like I said, USA made, known for durability and just kind of its straightforward classic look. You've got this drop point blade, reasonably thick, not too thick, but just heavy duty all the way around. I mean, the way that this thing locks out, you'll see there that there's no nail nick. It's just you pinch open it, but the friction about right here and that lockout, oh man, it just feels ridiculously durable. So real quick, and like I said, I don't want to make you go into crazy detail, but what specifically drew you to this knife when you were looking for something?
Well, I could be wrong, but to be honest, I didn't think there were a lot of knives under the $100 mark with the S35VN that I had seen anyway. And then I knew you had been doing the kind of classic knives lately, which I'm not usually a huge fan of, but for whatever reason, this one looks a little more like a modern version to me. What did you call that? Micarta. I liked the texturing on that. I think it makes it look a little more modern with that same kind of classic thing you have going on. And I like the size of it better than the ones you've been picking. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit sturdier, and then I'm always drawn to those drop point blades. So.
Extremely well said. So 3 cool talking points there. Yes, you're absolutely right. S35VN is very, very uncommon. under the $100 mark. I'm sure somebody will be able to clarify exactly in the comment section how many knives are. I'm only aware of like one or two knives that are in S35 VN under the $100 mark. And on top of that, keep in mind it's not only S35 VN under $100, it's USA made S35 VN under $100, the whole knife. And yeah, she's noticed here lately that I've gotten into the Great Eastern cutlery knives, and I've kind of like, I've gained this sudden interest in classic stuff. And I don't know if it's a sudden wave of nostalgia, thinking back to, this channel has really kind of caused me to dig into the origins of my interest in cutlery. And so maybe a little bit of that is what's causing my sudden interest in these slip joint knives or these lockbacks. But in any case, the Buck 110 is a fantastic classic. I'm glad that you like the smooth micarta and how it looks on this one. And she has always been, like we've said before, she loves her favorite knife that I have ever let her handle or ever had in my collection was the Fantoni HBO1. And that, for those of you who know, if you don't know, Google that real quick. But if you do know, that knife is very straightforward. And Bill Harsey, who was the collaborator or one of the collaborators in that design, he's notorious for making those like straightforward, sort of military looking drop point blades. And the Buck 110, I can understand why my wife was interested in this or drawn to it. That mixed with the classic nature, what she's noticed I've been interested in lately. I can understand why she liked that. Plus the nickel bolsters and the micarta on there. Anything else? I mean, you had a complaint about. I'm going to wipe my fingerprints off of this. You had a complaint about disengaging this knife.
Well, only because I can't do it.
So it is a fair point. Both of us were like, holy cow, like, are we missing something? Is there like a secondary lock you have to disengage? So there's so much friction at the top, not like in a bad way, not a grindy friction. I think it's made like that. And again, fans or owners or just people who know a lot more about the Buck 110 can clarify. But I think it's made that way. There is so much friction at the top. You really, and it's breaking in a little bit, but it really, there's an enormous amount of friction at the top there. But what it does create is an incredibly stout and sturdy lockup. I mean, there is no blade play in any direction. I was kind of shocked at the size of this thing. Were you?
Well, no,
You knew?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, she's just smarter than I am, I guess. But a lot of times I will look at the overall blade length and like weight, and my subconscious will go, bah, it's totally different. I just won't like acknowledge that it is that way. But I got this thing in hand and I was like, oh my God, is it 8.25 or 8.5? What is it?
I don't remember now.
I want to say it's like 8.5 inches overall. But the thickness and the weight got me. And then I remembered, oh yeah, it's like solid nickel bolsters, or is it nickel bolsters? Mm-hmm. Nickel bolsters, solid liners, thick steel, thick backlock. I mean, everything on this knife is incredibly solid, like old school solid. There are so few moving parts to this. You have the scales are pinned in place. You've got the bolsters, which I think are laid on top of the liners, and then you have the lock back and the blade. And honestly, I don't know if there are washers in there or not. I'm gonna have to look that up before we do the review. But that's it. I mean, this is ultra old school. I mean, they have not really changed this knife a whole lot, I don't think, from its original design. This knife has had many copycats throughout time. Many. I mean, this might be one of the most copied knives in existence. How many times you see this style of knife like at a gas station? Extremely, extremely copied over time. Anyway, sorry, moving forward there. My phone stops me at like the 10-minute mark for 60 frames per second. I don't know. Maybe the next phone won't do that. Anyways, one other thing that my wife pointed out that she always really, really likes about certain folding knives is um, some knives have a more aesthetic appearance of blade to handle ratio than others. Now, the actual blade to handle ratio of this knife, I don't know. But my wife pointed out in between those cuts there, she said something else I really like about it is how long the blade looks in comparison with the handle. And you can see there, the blade comes down, pretty far as like where the initial or where the tang, I guess, of the blade is at the top, all the way down to where the tip of the blade meets the back of the knife. It looks to have a pretty darn good blade to handle ratio. This blade, the overall blade length, I'm going to guess, is at least 3.6 inches, at least. Cutting edge is probably it's probably around 3.5 inches, something like that, honestly. But I mean, at 8 1/4, 8 1/2, it does have a pretty good blade to handle ratio. Now, honey, obviously, this isn't an EDC knife.
Right.
Now, can you, I mean, and it's okay if you can't think of anything. Is there a scenario in which you would instinctively reach for this knife? Like, where would you feel like this knife kind of belongs in the field of use? You can't answer incorrectly.
Like camping.
Camping. Perfect. That's what I was hoping that you would say. I feel like I would want to use this knife if we were going to go camping. I don't know that I'd want to use anything else but the Buck 110, just given everything that we have.
Well, it was called like the Ultimate Hunter or something.
Yeah, that's right. We haven't even talked about that. This is the DLT exclusive Ultimate Hunter Edition. So that implies a wide range of things. Like, the first thing that pops into my head is like somebody literally going hunting with nothing but this knife, which I think is kind of ridiculous. But in a camping scenario, I mean, like, if you're going to if you're going to create some kindling and neither of us are survival experts. So a lot of you probably are going to cringe, but, if you're going to create some kindling, I don't know if you're going to whittle a little bit, if you're going to, I don't know, I can't think of it. I suppose if you were going to clean, or skin, game, I mean, this is the type of outdoor folding knife that you could actually use. We'll talk about this more I will talk about this more in the review. One of the only downsides to this knife is the heft. But given the fact that it's almost exclusively an outdoor knife, I don't know that I can really knock it for that. By the way, the freaking pouch that it comes in this is pretty cool. Like, this is I mean, I don't know a whole lot about like leather, but this really impressed me. This is nice, and it's got the belt loop. I I mean, she would make fun of me, but if we go camping and I still have this, I will absolutely put this pouch on my belt and carry this knife the way that it was intended to be carried. If nothing else, just to feel cool, just to feel like I'm carrying a USA made Ultimate Hunter Buck 110 and S35VN. I think, to my knowledge, I know they make an automatic version of this, but I think this is, if I were specifically going to seek out a Buck 110, which, by the way, I did not know that this version of this existed. So she found something that I didn't know about. But if I knew that this existed and I was going to hunt down the perfect Buck 110 for myself, I can honestly say that this is what I would pick. I did not know that this existed. And it's impressive. USA made S35VN. This is an impressive knife. So anyways, we're going on like 15 minutes right now. I wanted to do this because I thought it would be fun. The last video that my wife did, I had a lot of fun. And even though she's not a knife person per se, it's fun to involve her in stuff like this. And she's a good sport, and she, helps out and just kind of humors me, which I appreciate. But I'm just, for whatever reason, very interested to see what she'll pick if I'm like, here's X amount of money, what would you pick? I'm infinitely interested in that. So every now and then I will have her do that, and we'll do a video on it. I don't know if I'll be, tied to a specific schedule with it, but maybe once every few weeks we'll do something like this, and then maybe we'll do something special with the knife. But anyways, guys, that's going to be pretty much it for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. And if you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, then please subscribe to my channel because there's definitely more coming. Thanks for watching and have a great day.